It's Better Agency's One Thing Wednesday starring Nick and Dan. And welcome to another edition of One Thing Wednesday here at Better Agency, where we're taking you inside of the application to show you one thing, just one thing that you can do start to finish, step by step, tactically inside of Better Agency to grow sales, improve efficiency, and have an overall better agency. As always, I am joined by the one, the only. He's 6 foot, 260 pounds of muscle, steel, and sex appeal. His name is Dan Morey. He's in our customer success team, and he is going to show us one thing that we can do today. Dan, what's going on, man?
Well, I appreciate that. One of these days I'll be back down to 260. So thanks for that vote of confidence there, my friend.
It's our way of kind of like, gently
motivating?
pushing you in that direction. So.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Well, ever since you shaved the beard, shaving the beard has got to count for a few lbs that you shaved off there.
Got to be at least, yeah. I got tired of the bedhead in the morning, so I had to get rid of it.
On your face.
That's right.
What's one thing that users can do inside of Better Agency today, step by step, that they can use and really kind of leverage what the application has to offer them?
Yeah, man, I got a nice easy one today here. So most of you are probably familiar with our broadcast tool. For better or worse, I'm sure you guys have used it. You've gone into it. You may have seen it and just kind of been like, okay, whatever. But this is actually a really powerful tool that you can utilize to contact your entire existing book of business, all of your prospects, all of your inactives, anybody that you want, with one quick message without having to drop them onto a campaign. So what I see a lot of agents use this for, and unfortunately the timing on this is fairly perfect with hurricane season down in Louisiana. You can get some messages out to your book of business ahead of time. You can give them some best practices, things to do. You can do it for anybody who's in the colder climates, some best tips to avoid freezing pipes overnight, fires, let your imagination kind of run wild here, but anything that you can imagine to jump in and send just one mass message to your whole book. So one thing that we've actually improved on that was a direct result of feedback from you guys is you now have the ability to schedule a broadcast. So if you hear about something at, 11 o'clock at night, you may not want to send a message to all of your book of business at 11 o'clock at night, maybe schedule it for 9 o'clock the next morning. So that is something that you can do now, and that's what we're going to look at inside of the broadcast tool. So as you can see,
while you're doing that, or while you're pulling this up, so when it comes to broadcasting, are we able to, inside of Better Agency, split this out and say, hey, maybe I only want to send something to people who are with XYZ carrier or have this line of business? Is that possible with the broadcast tool?
Yes, absolutely. So that's what we're going to get into after we select if we're going to go either an email or a text message. So you're going to see a very familiar screen once we kind of select the message that's going to go out. It's going to be kind of a mirror of our contact list. So if you're familiar with filtering down any of the searches in the contact list, you'll be able to do that in the broadcast as well. So I'm just going to do an email just for the sake of this one here. And I'm not going to go through. I'm just going to kind of pick, compose an email here. So it'll be a nice little test one. But what you will do, so once you have your message all ready to go and ready to send, you're going to come down here to review and send. Now, this is what I was talking about. It's kind of a little mirror of a mini contact list. So you can pop open your search filter, and let's say I want to find all of my, my homeowners. So anybody who has a home policy, because I know that there's going to be some flooding coming in here. So anybody who has a home policy, that's who I want to reach out to. So I want to make sure I've got all my clients that have home policies, and I'm going to apply that filter. Now, keep in mind, test account here, I may only have 1 or 2 that are in here. But yeah, there we go. So I've got one of them that's in here. So I can grab this person. If you've got a couple hundred of them here, you can check that box right there. It'll select every single one of them. Now, if you want to send it right now, you'll just hit complete. If you want to schedule it later, you can see up here we've got our scheduler. So I want to schedule it to go out maybe tomorrow at 1:07. That's fine. That's perfect. So I'm going to schedule it for tomorrow at 1:07 in the afternoon. I'm going to hit complete. And after it's done loading, there we go. Completed. Email broadcast successfully. Now, you may be thinking, okay, I want to go and look at any of the broadcasts that I've got scheduled. Well, we've got you accounted for there too. So if you come up here back to just the regular broadcast menu, you can go up and see all of your scheduled broadcasts. So I can see this one. I can come in here and see exactly what's going to go out. If I notice that something was wrong, I can cancel it. Maybe the weather changed and hurricane shifted, so I can go ahead and cancel that, so it doesn't go out to my book of business. So it's pretty cool. And one thing that's also going to be great is John is coming up with some really slick enhancements to the broadcast tool as well. So it's great the way it is, but it's about to be phenomenal here in the coming months as well. So
yeah,
keep an eye on that.
To kind of walk through some of that with John. John is on our product team, and he's kind of outlining how we can actually take what we already have with the broadcast feature and make it exponentially better. And so walking through some of those designs with them, really excited to see where that's going to be here very shortly. One of the things I was thinking about when you were talking, Dan, is I remember writing business in California. In California, every year half the state burns down. And what we would always get from carriers when that was happening is we'd always get something from carrier A, and they'd say, hey, we are going to have a tent set up on the corner of First and Main, and anybody who's our client can come by, they can get supplies, and we're writing checks, we got adjusters, we got all this, and every carrier would do that. So I'm thinking of a great use case during fire season when I'm getting that information from individual carriers. I can write out the email and say, hey, just FYI, if you're in this town or in this zip code, and this is where this carrier is going to be specifically, go over there, see them. They're cutting checks right now, and you can go and you can take care of stuff with your claim.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a perfect use case. And then, again, with the floods that are happening down in the South right now too, anybody who writes business in the South knows that you're going to get a moratorium on home policies or flood policies. So if there's a hurricane coming, you can get your existing book of business, use that contact list to find everybody who has a home but doesn't have a flood policy, and say, hey, we're coming into hurricane season. There are going to be restrictions. I'm not going to be able to bind flood coverage for you in the coming weeks. If you want something, let's get it set in place right now.
Yeah, and we're talking purely about a claim scenario, but there's all kinds of sales scenarios where you can use this as well. And so if you want to send some sort of specific communication from your agency because something happened, maybe you need to do a book roll, or maybe you need to communicate something. It's not just for sales; it could be used for service. It could be used for claims and sales. And there's lots of use cases where you can use this where you want to get that out and you want to get the word out to as many people as possible. Dan, I think this was a great example of something that people could do from start to finish. Thank you so much for showing us how to use this, and keep your eyes tuned in to the new features that are going to be happening here in the very next couple weeks and months with our messaging center and our broadcast feature. Lots of cool stuff on the way. This has been another edition of One Thing Wednesday. We'll see you again next week.